In the heart of Beijing, behind the thick red walls of Zhongnanhai, the unthinkable is unfolding. Once standing at the pinnacle of absolute power, Chinese leader Xi Jinping is now on the brink of total collapse. He is now suffering from severe mental deterioration and may no longer even be fully in command of his own fate. He's being crushed by the weight of his own authoritarian rule. Meanwhile, some speculate that Xi Jinping may step down in August, with early moves in Beidaihe hinting at a potential reshuffle in CCP leadership. In the darkest moment of Xi's reign, the universal law of cause and effect appears to be closing in, and none can escape that. Stay with us as we delve into the full story behind these startling developments. Xi Jinping, depressed, delusional, and spiraling into total collapse. In a stunning development from Beijing, insider sources have revealed that Chinese leader Xi Jinping is not only grappling with the loss of military control, but is also facing a serious deterioration in both physical and mental health. According to the leak, Xi has been diagnosed with severe depression, marked by hallucinations and auditory delusions, conditions often considered a terminal psychological affliction. Individuals suffering from such disorders frequently describe their state as worse than death, and many ultimately take their own lives. This, the source claims, is the real reason Xi will be absent from the upcoming BRICS summit scheduled for July 6 in Brazil. His first no-show at a major annual international forum. Beijing's elite circle of medical professionals, who serve the health needs of top Communist Party officials, is reportedly circulating news that Xi has definitively lost command over the People's Liberation Army, PLA. His attempt to repeat the political maneuver he used with Wang Qishan, exploiting him, then discarding him, backfired disastrously when applied to the military. Xi tried to force the retirement of Zhang Youxia, aiming to replace him with his trusted ally Miao Hua as vice chairman of the Central Military Commission. But Zhang did not yield. Xi's efforts to remove him failed and ultimately resulted in his complete loss of military control. Xi retaliated by deploying Miao Hua, only to see Miao removed by Zhang. A second counterattack using He Weidong also ended in failure. He was likewise neutralized by Zhang. On June 27, the Standing Committee of the National People's Congress issued a public notice removing Navy Chief of Staff Li Hanjun from his position as a national representative due to alleged involvement in Miao Hua's political faction. Miao himself was dismissed from his post on the Central Military Commission. A formal announcement regarding He Weidong is expected soon. Whether he is still alive remains unknown. Miao's downfall, sources say, is not only symbolic, it underscores the immense pressure Xi Jinping is under ahead of the annual Beidaihe political retreat. Xi knows all too well that in the CCP's ruthless political structure, control of the military is paramount, but his isolation is deepening. Domestically, he is surrounded by discontent. Internationally, his once reliable partners, Iran, the Houthis, Hamas, are being systematically weakened or suppressed. Meanwhile, inside China, the economic storm grows fiercer. A collapsing real estate sector, spiraling financial instability, rising unemployment, declining manufacturing, and a crisis of consumer confidence. Xi's failed legacy now risks being dismantled, and he can no longer find scapegoats to shield himself. Observers say his downfall is a textbook example of hubris. His ambition was higher than the heavens, but his fate was as fragile as paper. Every apparent victory has led him deeper into traps, each step forward revealing a hidden pitfall. Even the most self-assured tyrant finds his confidence crushed under the weight of endless suspicion and looming betrayal. Over time, the body breaks down, the mind follows. His life, many now whisper, has become a torment worse than death. Xi, once holding what seemed to be a winning hand, has driven it to disaster. It's little wonder that many now refer to him as the accelerator of the CCP's collapse. His determination to hold on to power seems matched only by his unwillingness to leave the stage, unless the entire regime falls with him. According to host Edward from YouTube channel Edward Wenming, Xi Jinping has reportedly suffered 2 strokes and shows signs of Parkinson's disease, frequent, uncontrolled head nodding on camera being just one visible symptom. Now afflicted with hallucinations and paranoia, he allegedly believes he is being poisoned and that his residence has been bugged by Zhang Youxia. Even his most trusted confidant, He Lifeng, must meet him under unusual conditions. The television turned on, conversations reduced to gestures and handwritten notes. Medical experts in Beijing, tasked with treating top party officials, have diagnosed Xi with severe clinical depression. This community of elite health specialists is real. Around 2010, one of the members, who once attended training sessions organized by the narrator, disclosed how they care for provincial-level officials and above, including tailoring their diets and monitoring their private lives. These insiders know everything about their patients' mental and physical states. Depression, they affirm, is not just sadness, it's a disorder of the soul. Victims feel hopeless, empty, tearful, and irritable, even over minor issues. They lose interest in life, struggle with sleep and fatigue, and lack the energy to perform even small tasks. Simply put, they lose the capacity for joy. Many fall into silent despair, feeling as though life is no longer worth living. It's now July, the peak of flood season in southern China, yet Xi has issued no public directives, made no appearances. Why? According to host Edward, he simply lacks the will. On June 24 this year, Xi's meeting with Singapore Prime Minister Lawrence Wong lasted mere minutes, with Xi speaking less than 50 characters. Between each sentence, he compulsively looked at a small notebook. Sources say he is consumed by guilt and failure. He has reportedly expressed thoughts of ending his life to his wife, Peng Liyuan, who has been so alarmed that she has repeatedly contacted He Lifeng to intervene. Despite official explanations, Xi's absence from the BRICS summit cannot be blamed on a desire to avoid India's prime minister or a travel ban. The truth, insiders say, is far graver. He is mentally unfit. Xi under surveillance and wiretapping. Shockingly, Xi himself, as the leader of China, is also under surveillance and wiretapping. In fact, host Edward revealed that no member of the CCP's top leadership escapes scrutiny. Beyond rival factions, the party's own Political and Legal Affairs Commission operates a political security bureau responsible for monitoring ministerial-level officials. The shadow state ultimately ensnares its own. In 1976, Hua Guofeng rose to power, only to be stripped of real authority by Deng Xiaoping 2 years later, and forced to resign in 1981. For the next 21 years, Hua remained under constant surveillance. He didn't dare speak of politics, not even with family. During Mao Zedong's time, General Office Director Yang Shankun secretly installed a listening device on Mao's train. When discovered, he was dismissed. Li Rui, Mao's former secretary, noted in his diaries that Hu Yaobang feared wiretaps even after stepping down. At home, his visitors used hand gestures to refer to party figures. 1 finger for Deng Xiaoping, 3 for Zhao Ziyan, touching the ear for Chen Yun, pointing to the eyebrow for Bo Yibo. Ye Jianying, though untouchable, was cautious. Whenever he discussed sensitive matters with his adopted daughter Dai Jing, he would lead her into the bathroom, turn on the faucet, and speak over the sound of running water. Yi's son, Ye Xuanping, led the PLA's Third Bureau, responsible for surveillance and intelligence. Former officials such as Bo Xilai and Zhou Yongkang were known to have wiretapped even senior leaders, including Hu Jintao and Xi Jinping. Multiple reports have confirmed that Xi is one of the most heavily monitored officials in the party, with surveillance extending to his inner circle, wife, and daughter. Such intense political infighting and mutual distrust are the rule, not the exception, within the CCP's ruling elite. Xi's mental collapse, insiders say, stems from the realization that in a dictatorship like China's, stepping down means stepping into the grave. If Xi were to half retire, resigning from the roles of party general secretary and chairman of the military commission while retaining the presidency, and if Zhang Youxia were to join the standing committee, the struggle would intensify. Blood would be shed. Those who lose would face ruin, and entire factions would be purged. That's why Xi won't back down, and neither will those under him. Deng Xiaoping once pledged loyalty to Hua Guofeng, then toppled him. Hu Jintao relinquished all power to Xi Jinping, only to be publicly humiliated and then detained. Why? Because they lost control of the military. In the CCP's history, few leaders stepped down gracefully. Chen Duxiu was expelled, Li Lisan committed suicide, Wang Ming died in exile, Zhang Guotao drank himself to death in Canada. Even at the Zuni conference, it was Jiang Wenqin, not Mao, who emerged as the top party leader, while military power rested with Zhou Enlai. But Mao's cunning allowed him to slowly consolidate power, marginalizing Jiang, who was later humiliated and died in obscurity. Liu Shaoqi's fate was even worse. In such a regime, why is it so hard to transfer power peacefully? Veteran journalist Guo Jin argues that it's a structural flaw of dictatorship. Like emperors of old, today's autocrats wield too much power and accumulate too much interest, guaranteeing someone will always want to replace them. Unlike royal dynasties where power is passed down through blood, communist dictatorships lack legitimacy. Their authority isn't won by war or granted by the people. This foundational weakness makes peaceful succession nearly impossible. The CCP's ideology is built on struggle, on zero-sum conflict. That makes the fight for top power not just political, but existential. At a recent NATO summit, Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg jokingly referred to U.S. President Donald Trump as Daddy. Trump has become affectionately known as Big Daddy Trump. Meanwhile, Xi has morphed from Uncle Xi to Xi Baozi, or also means Xi the Steamed Bun, a mocking nickname. Why the shift? Because he has betrayed the people, extinguishing their hope. He claims to be anti-corruption, selfless, serving the people. Yet corruption deepens. Officials say it plainly. Want to fix corruption? Publish officials' assets. Want people happy? Solve pensions, education, and healthcare. All of it is possible, if the will exists. Yet Xi refuses. He speaks endlessly of anti-corruption, but wherever there is unchecked power, there is corruption. He clings to high office with a darkened heart, intoxicated by power and political scheming. He governs not for the people, but for his own legacy. That, insiders say, is why he is cursed, why he is depressed. More importantly, he continued the brutal persecution of the spirit practice Falun Gong begun under Jiang Zemin on July 20, 1999, and directed his state security chief Chen Yixin to expand transnational repression. He also ordered Li Ganji to crack down on Christians in China. For this, sources say his regime is doomed. History offers no salvation for those who persecute the faithful. As the tides of history turn, voices are rising. The people are beginning to speak. Xi Jinping may step down in August. Beidaihe meeting held early. The Beidaihe Conference, the Chinese Communist Party's annual leadership retreat, usually takes place in late July or early August. However, this year, even before July began, the Beidaihe area was already tense, resembling preparations for a major emergency or outbreak. Several political observers believe the CCP may be holding the Beidaihe meeting earlier than usual in order to swiftly reshuffle personnel, rebalance internal factions, prepare for the fourth plenary session, and set the course for the 21st Party Congress. The goal would be to arrange key leadership appointments ahead of Xi Jinping's potential departure. According to multiple sources, security from Beijing to Beidaihe in Hebei province has been drastically tightened. Road checkpoints have surged, and train stations and railways are subject to multiple layers of inspection. Some passengers reported via booking apps that no trains were running near Beidaihe station from June 26 to July 7. After July 8, tickets to the area have also become hard to obtain. Online users speculate that these unusual signs suggest top CCP officials may have already begun arriving in Beidaihe. Ms. Zhao, a petitioner, described how numerous intersections from Beijing to Beidaihe were manned by police vehicles and plainclothes officers. She counted up to 7 security checkpoints along the route. Passengers were thoroughly checked from the moment they entered Beijing station, throughout the train ride, and again upon arrival, even when calling for taxis. The atmosphere, she said, was particularly tense. Many critics have noted that whenever the CCP holds major events, whether full party congresses, national meetings, or international summits, the country is thrown into a funeral-like lockdown, treating ordinary citizens as potential threats. This year, however, the security presence in Beidaihe is heavier than ever, sparking speculation that the CCP is grappling with exceptionally sensitive or critical internal matters. But that's not all. Despite the dense police and military presence, it appears insufficient. Authorities in Beijing and Hebei have reportedly issued verbal orders requiring local governments to closely monitor petitioners and dissidents, banning them from approaching the Beidaihe corridor. One source revealed that hotels and seaside guest houses in the area have been booked out by the government, leaving no room for regular citizens. Mobile phone and internet signals in the region have also become weak and unstable. The Beidaihe conference is known as a venue for secret discussions among top CCP leaders to divide political power and make high-level personnel decisions. These decisions are later formally approved and publicly announced at official meetings. Observers predict that this year's conference may yield a consensus on leadership changes, with second-generation Reds, princelings, and party elders potentially proposing a new leadership team and facilitating a major transfer of power from Xi Jinping to a successor. Former U.S. diplomat Gregory W. Slayton has analyzed that Xi Jinping may resign at the fourth plenary session this August, or at least retain only a symbolic role. His prediction is based on Xi's increasingly unusual recent behavior. So for the countless wrongs Xi Jinping has committed over the years, it appears that Xi Jinping is now facing judgment in his final hour. No one escapes the universal law of cause and effect. To quote Li Keqiang, "Heaven watches what humans are doing." I believe that when a person has faith in the universal law of cause and effect, it helps them keep compassion in their heart, avoid evil, strive to do good, revere the divine, and, in return, receive the protection of the divine, and become worthy of a better future. But if one turns away from this law and lives without morality, the consequence will be endless suffering, a retribution without end.